Hey guys, it's Utoni here. I just want to share with you some of the best fights I've had in the Kestrel over the past month or so, just to prove that the Kestrel is still a very viable ship in nullsec, and is still a lot of fun. I uploaded the Kestrel New Bro video almost a year ago, and it's one of the most successful videos on this channel, and one that I'm still really proud of, and I haven't changed much on my fit. I've mostly just adapted it to save even more on ISK, since I no longer carry faction ammunition. It's probably not worth carrying faction ammo anymore, because the rage missiles apply pretty much perfectly to most frigates in the game when they're webbed, and the ones that it doesn't apply to, like dual prop stuff, is very rare in the meta now, so I don't carry faction ammunition anymore. I also use a cheaper named shield extender, which also gives you slightly less sig if you have better skills than two, but the extra stats is mostly irrelevant. It's mostly just to save on ISK. You can still use the compact shield extender, and actually because of the new skills that new players start off with, as well as the tier side changes in the Carnix expansion, which reduced the grid on MWDs and medium shield extenders, it's also a lot easier to fit now too with lower skills and a lower SP character. So this is just a video just to show that the Kestrel is still a lot of fun to fly, and I hope you enjoy the clips. Being able to visually identify guns is a really important skill in this game. And so I look at this Hikari here. Now a Hikari is a ship that you can actually kill in a Kestrel because it has such a low base speed. I see the sensor booster effect on him, and I saw that he had ions on his ship. So I decided that I can actually engage him. Because he has a sensor booster, he's definitely not going to have a second web, and I will definitely have range control on him. The Hikari base speed is actually I think 217 ms, which is almost twice as slow as my Kestrel. So he's basically like a frigate that's already webbed. This is one of the reasons why the Sweeper and the Confessor are really overpowered compared to the Hikari and Jackdaw, is because they have such huge base speeds. But in this case, for example, I also see that he only has a point, so it's actually an engagement that I can easily take. Against most Hikaris, you can pretty safely engage them at 10 kilometers. Against a neutron Hikari, it can probably just force you off. You need to be careful with dual web Hikaris, because you'll still be faster than them, but they can slow you down enough that you're not going to get out of their range in a short amount of time. But as long as you play like at the edge of scram range, you can probably take the fight and just leave if you're losing. In this case, I saw that the Hikari had a sensor booster, so I know he doesn't have a second web. I also saw they had ions fitted, which means he's not going to be able to hit me out at range. You can see that the Hikari here actually stopped shooting me. I guess he was changing ammo at this point, probably to null, so they can hit me out. But he does get a few grazing hits on me, and if he switches to sharpshooter mode as well, then he won't get the whole resist bonuses as well. One of the reasons why the Hikari is, again, another balanced ship is because if he switches to sharpshooter mode to get reliable damage on me, he loses the whole resist, and this was a whole tank to Hikari. Against like a capacitor booster one, you probably can't break it, but you can at least run from it, because you'll only have one web, and your base speed, when you're webbed and he's webbed, you're still going to move 100 ms plus faster than him, so you can easily just like coast at the edge of scram range and get out if you need to. Fighting on regional gates can be fun because sometimes people get greedy and they can follow you into, on like low sec bordering gates, they can get greedy and they can follow you in. So in this case, there was a big camp and they forced me through, and this heretic actually came in and aggressed me on the gate guns. Got to put that TD on that Kestrel. But I was able to get a scram web on him, and he goes down pretty fast. He didn't really get me close to dying, and I was able to just take him down here. And this isn't really like a technical kill. It's more of like a fun kill, because killing a heretic in a Kestrel is pretty fun, and it's just fighting on gates like this can be just a good way to bait unexpected kills. So if there's a camp on the other side, like splitting them up on one side and trying to get them to aggression on the low sec side can be a good way to get a funny kill like this. So people can really often underestimate you when they're in a group together like this, and remembering how to split up people on grid is a very important skill when you're flying here. So in this fight, I want to split this Gamma up because he's actually like coming in at me, and I want to take him off this gate, but I've got to keep in mind that I can't take him further than 150 kilometers off this gate, otherwise his friends will be able to actually warp to him. They have a lot of dangerous stuff there, like 2 rapid like Caracals and a Hikari, but they don't seem to be burning in at this point, and if I start the fight, with them being like 100 plus, it's really hard for them to get involved into the fight because they have to burn a long time, and a lot of them don't actually start moving until now. Only the Condor's really coming in. I was able to get Scram Web on this Gamma because he just kind of rammed me. A lot of times people will make mistakes like this when they think they have a gang backing them up. So don't be afraid to fight on grid like this sometimes, because it can often result in people making a mistake. So I'm able to catch this Gamma. I assumed he was actually a small ancillary fit, but it turns out he only had a small shield extender, and I didn't really notice that because I went through it so fast. Here, like, more stuff actually warps in. The Malediction warps in. I switched fire to the Condor here because the Condor is probably going to die first. I actually assumed that I was probably going to die here because everything is burning in. But if I can kill the Condor, then I can clear. I know that I can activate MWD, so I activate heated MWD at this point. The Hikari isn't quite in to do anything to me. The Scram Web effect on there is a bug because he attacked me and it didn't clear. But I was able just to get out here. And this is just like a really awesome kill, like killing a Gamma and a Condor in like a 2v1 with like 6 other ships on grid and getting out is just super awesome. The Gamma also had a Dark Blood Warp Disruptor as well, and it died. So, you know, Gamma's dying, always awesome to see. This is a fun engagement because it shows you what you can do as a brawler against kiters. So there's a slicer that's been following me around in system for quite a while. I asked him for a 1v1 as well in local, and he agreed to 1v1 me. I chill on the gate here and I want him to jump first, and the reason why I want him to jump first is because if he decloaks first, and he's been playing quite aggressively at this point, he's been trying to catch me, he's been decloaking to try and point me because he thinks I'm weak and he thinks I'm going to run. And you can often ambush kiting ships like this, so I see that he's actually quite close to me. He's 13 kilometers from me, so I'm able to just land heated Scram Web straight away, and it's still a Tech 1 frigate versus a faction frigate, so it's still a very hard fight, and you'll see here that this is actually a super close fight. But this is just like one tactic you can use in the Kestrel versus like Gammas versus Imperial Navy Slicers. I killed that really expensive Gamma before by using this sort of tactic, and if they just burn away on the other side, you can just fuck off and leave if they play too defensively. So you see it was super close, and I actually ended up living with 10 structure HP left. But this is like kind of that, even if you're in like a slow ship like a Kestrel, you can use Stargates in this way to take advantage of it. If he didn't spawn next to me, if he was like on the opposite side of the gate, if he was like 26 away, I probably would have just warped out. And sometimes people will just like reapproach the gate and wait for you on the gate at 0 to guarantee a point on you, and that means since you always decloak 12.5 kilometers from a Stargate, it means that you can guarantee overheated web and scram on them almost always, because of the server tick. It takes you like a minute to actually decloak, and in that time, often they can't react to you, and a lot of people aren't very good at kiting in this game. Normally they use default commands like orbit and approach, and if you're not actually decloaked for them to click orbit on you, then it can be very easy for you to just just land the Scram Web immediately on them and just take them down and fight them on an equal footing. Even if it's a pirate faction ship like a Gamma or a faction ship like the Slicer, you can generally win in an all-in exchange like that. And I wasn't actually able to get under his guns because the Kestrel is really, really fat. But it just goes to show you that like every little thing, every little inch counts, and using this tactic can bag you some nice kills. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video that I made. The Kestrel is definitely still a very strong ship. It's still one of my favourite ships. I still think it's probably the strongest Tech 1 frigate in nullsec for the standard Tech 1 frigates. You can definitely still have a lot of fun with the Kestrel. It is a bit harder now to find some good fights, but yeah, you can still make it. So thanks for watching, and there definitely will be a lot more videos soon, hopefully.